This is the CHRILLCAST. I'm Chris.
I'm Larrue.
I'm Nyarly.
I'm Spencer. And this is our Friendly Friday segment. We're going to be talking about some Atlus remakes or new games. And before we do that, why don't you guys tell everybody about your channels?
I'm Larrue. If you like Megaten, that's what I do, except that one video right there that says Aegis Rim. But in general, I talk about Atlus. I talk about the development of games and collecting. So if you like those things, or if you want to hear me talk for 2 hours, you can watch my podcast.
Or all the videos this week. That would be 2 hours of Larrue.
Oh, yeah. Watch CHRILLCAST all this week, and yeah, you don't even have to subscribe to me. Just subscribe to CHRILLCAST. So.
Or both. Or both.
Yeah.
You get double the Larrue if you watch both this week.
Yeah, I also do Megaten, but I might actually start doing Fire Emblem videos soon.
Really?
Yeah, like one video I had planned was like how would a like talking about TMS. One video I've been thinking about doing for a while is how would a true SMT cross Fire Emblem crossover game work.
Didn't we talk about that in Twitter DMs like forever ago?
Yeah, like that's when those like people I was telling you about reached out to me, but I haven't heard from them since.
Okay. Cool.
You
Well,
should do
that's
it.
interesting to me. If you ever want to talk about Fire Emblem with somebody who's really interested in Fire Emblem, I'm your guy.
Cool.
I've been playing that series since basically, well, the inception in the U.S., but I've also played all of the old Japanese games. So I'm very into that and very into Persona. I could definitely have a discussion with you. All right, so now we're going to talk about Spencer real quick. Spencer Presley was on the podcast on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then he mysteriously left, even though he was not there Monday either. So if you watch this week, it's not going to make any sense, but go subscribe to Spencer's channel. It makes sense, whatever. Today is our Friendly Friday segment. We're going to be talking about should Atlus create old remakes, or remakes of old games, I should say, like Shin Megami Tensei 1 and 2, do like a remake of that, or like a Persona 1 and 2 remake, or should we be moving on from remakes and just make new games going here from here on out? What do you guys like? What's your hot take, real quick, before we get into it?
I think yes. That's. I don't know if that's a controversial thing. I think yes, and their main reason is because usually what they do is when they release like the Persona 5 Royal version of a game, that game is like the testing grounds for new staff. So usually you'll get a lot of new staff working on that game. This is an excellent way to get new staff familiar with the way that the development cycle is. It's also a fun thing because I would like to see a SMT1 remake, just to see what they would do with it, and I feel like it's pretty safe to do. You know, it works in a lot of ways, and what worst case scenario, the old fans won't like it, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like there's any risk involved for me.
Yeah, I mean, like, I also think, like, SMT 1 and 2 especially need remakes because those games, like, aren't officially available in English. Like, we got the patch, but, like, and we got, like, the Game Boy Advance, like, kind of translation
iOS?
patch that's being worked on. Or, yeah, well, okay, what they're doing is they're taking the script from the iOS version and basically just moving it to the Game Boy Advance version.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I also think, like, a remake could just, like, improve upon a lot of the things in those games that just, like, didn't work so well. Like, it can improve the navigation, it can make the UI a lot better, and it would just, you know, make the game look better because, you know, those games, like, even for the Super Nintendo, those games don't look the best.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
And I've noticed that new fans are always interested in the lore of the series, but they are turned off by the inaccessibility or just the age and the way that the age affects the way the game is developed. So the easiest shortcut fix would then be to just remake them, and then I don't know, maybe they just change up the way the gameplay is. Maybe it doesn't have to be a JRPG. Maybe it could be a ARPG instead, you know?
But like for remakes, I mean, I think this pretty much mostly applies to the older games.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know there's like a lot of fans that they want to see a remake of Persona 3. Like, I don't think Persona 3 needs I don't think it needs a remake because, like, if Atlus is gonna make a new Persona game, from the ground up, I'd rather them work on Persona 6. not like a remake of Persona 3, which is a game I think plays just fine.
I think we could agree though that if Persona 3 got the Nocturne treatment with all of the features from Persona 3 Portable and all of the features from Fest, that would be the best thing for them to actually do.
I do think it needs like a remaster, but like a from the ground up remake, it doesn't need one.
That's true. I don't think that, like, the thing that for me that I consider is that the remakes that we've been getting, or at least the ports and stuff, they've all been done by other companies that Atlus is outsourcing to. So, to kind of, like, it runs counter to what I was saying earlier, because if they did do a remake of SMT 2, like there was, or SMT 1 and 2, there would be some chance that it wouldn't even be Atlus working on it. It might be someone else touching up on the original game, or even possibly making it up from the ground up. Might be someone else, and that could be kind of risky, and that would make me apprehensive. But I don't mind waiting like 4 more years for Persona 6 if it means that we got 5 remakes of old games, because to me, I think that invites more of the current fan base to play the old games because they wouldn't play them otherwise.
Well, I think there's 2 factors at play there, though, right? So, like, Persona 3, as Nyarly said, it doesn't necessarily need a remake. Because it is still accessible, and it is still, like, modern gameplay enough that new players can get into it and play it and not really feel like they're getting gypped of a modern experience in a JRPG. Versus Persona 1, 2, and 2 IS and 2 EP. Those games are jarring to go from 3 back to those games, or 4 back to those games, or 5 back to those games.
I don't know if I'd say that, because Persona 2 was my second Persona game. But like I mean, like, a lot of people call those games like dated. I wouldn't call them dated, I'd say they're just bare bones. Like, there's no press turn, there's no social links.
Yeah, I'd just say they're a product of their time, really. Yeah.
The combat is super easy. I think if they were to remake Persona 1 and 2, the thing that they need to improve the most on is the combat.
That's what I'm going back on, though. Is like, if you were to try to go, like, convince, newbie playing Persona 5 Royal or Persona 5 to go play Persona 1 and 2, they're probably just going to say, no, I'm not playing those games. So, like, what I'm saying by accessibility isn't like you can't buy it or you can't download it and play it. I'm saying accessibility from the standpoint of the average person getting into a JRPG in 2020 is going to look at that game and say, nope.
Well, yeah. I mean, and also the negotiation system in Persona 1 and 2 sucks.
Yeah.
I mean...
But 3, they could go back and play 3. That's what I'm saying. The biggest difference is, stylistically and gameplay-wise, 3 is enough like 4 and 5 that you can go back and play it. At least the portable version, because you have direct control. I always forget that Fest doesn't have direct party control unless you mod it.
But you still want to play portable because you got skill cards, and also the option to play as female, which we still don't have for any other game, by the way.
They thought Royal was going to add it because of that prominent girl at the end.
Yeah.
Yep.
My watch just told me I'm almost to some goal I'm supposed to be making right now. It said, keep going, you're almost there. I'm like, what goal am I about to hit?
Nice. You might have had to set Persona in the day. It's your Persona counter.
Also, Larrue, I didn't mean to cut you off earlier. What were you going to say?
Oh, yeah.
Whatever I was going to say probably didn't matter because I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
I guess the next question is, what game do you want to see remade the most?
Remade the most? For me, it's Raito 1 and 2, because I've been playing Raito. Well, I replayed Raito 1 completely from scratch about 2 months ago after not having played it for almost 10 years or so. And then I got into Raito 2, and the gameplay for Raito 1, I don't know how anyone could say it's good. It's not like Persona 1 and 2 where I think that they just feel like an older game. Raito 1 is like not a fun game to play. It's an interesting story. It's a great setting and everything, but imagine that done in a more competent SRPG style, action RPG style, like Persona 5 Strikers, for instance. I think that would have been like amazing, and they have the potential to do that if they just remake the game, and it would probably sell better because it didn't sell very well in any region when it came out.
And every time you type in Raito, all that comes up is Nocturne.
That's not a good look.
Like a lot of them were like, "Why is Raido removed in the Nocturne remaster?"
Raido from the Nocturne series.
Is that my phone that keeps
Basically.
making that noise? Are you guys hearing that, or is that just me?
I heard something.
I hear it sounds like a fan.
My watch.
that's
I swear it's my
my-
watch is making beeping noises. I can't figure it out. Oh well.
Yeah.
Sorry guys, I keep interrupting with that. But so you want to see Raido? What about you, Nyarly? What do you want to see?
Well, I am want to say SMT 1 and 2, but I already talked about that. So my second choice would be the original Devil Summoner, because it means we'd be getting it in English.
Oh yeah, that's
Fair
true.
What a diplomatic response.
I want to see Megami Tensei 1 and 2 completely reimagined for modern era.
That would be insane.
Hmm.
Because
In a good way.
those games, like basically almost nobody in the fan base has played them at this point in time, and those are based off of the books.
Mm-hmm. Well, the first one's based off the book.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
The first one, and I think that could be really interesting because there's not going to be a lot of fans from the original game to really complain.
Ooh.
It's like no matter what you do,
genius.
people are
Just
probably
sold
going
me
to be
on
like, "Yep." So
because no one would get upset because no fans for it. You get to remake something and see if that formula of remaking is even a good idea, and like then everyone will actually play the game because gotta say, even though I like Megami Tensei 2 a lot, like those two games are pretty rough to play if you're not okay with old games, you know?
right.
Jeez.
So you
That's a
actually
good
played? Have you played both of them or just the second one? Okay, so you're
I
like
played-
the only person I've ever met that's played those. Maybe Nyarly has. I don't know.
Which ones?
Have you played them yet?
Megami
Digital Devil
Tensei.
Story?
The original Megami Tenseis? No, I haven't.
What? You should
I
play
played
them as a.
I played Kyaku.
Well, yeah, that's it. That's them to bundle together. That's
Oh,
one and
okay.
two
Well, I
bundled.
haven't played the originals, but I played Kyaku.
Yeah, Kyaku is just the better version of. Well, in some ways, it's better. I prefer the original releases though.
Oh, I
yeah.
know what this is making that noise now. It's my phone not sitting on the charger. my landline phone not sitting on the
Oh,
charger.
wow.
It's dying. I'm like, what in the world? Sorry.
All good.
It's
But
the
these games are good. I really like them anyway, and I could see them being remade, even if it was for like something that like unconventional. Like I could see them being, if they're gonna do a pretty faithful adaptation, they could just do that for, I don't know, mobile or something. And yeah, I think it might sell well because Japanese people like mobile games. I don't know.
as long as they don't do what they did with SMT1,
Yeah.
that would be a
Not-
mistake.
I've never even played that version. Nyarly's the only person I know that has the iOS SMT one.
Spencer,
You haven't played it at all?
The iOS version, no.
I know Filthy has it as well.
Hope maybe he'll let me borrow his.
Yeah.
I'm interested, but I didn't have an iOS at the time.
I actually found out about it as it was getting removed from the App Store, and I just missed my
from the
window.
App Store? Because like I know it was on there for like I think it was like 4 or 5 years, but I don't remember the exact date it was pulled.
It was when they went to 64-bit. Apple basically said anything that's not 64-bit's gone.
Well, okay, but I mean, like that's what they said, but like you could still download it for a while.
Yeah,
You just couldn't. It's just if you
There was a-
updated past iOS 11, you couldn't use it.
there was a cutoff date that they gave developers, like,
Mm.
hey, after this date, and that coincided with one of the iOS updates that you would not 11. That you would not be able to carry forward a 32-bit application because it created a segmented population of apps on the store that they didn't want to curate.
Huh.
It hurt the performance. Like a 64-bit, anytime you try to emulate 32-bit with 64-bit, causes issues. So like continuing to carry those games and apps forward meant they had to have some 32-bit either emulation or the ability to have 32-bit applications on the 64-bit process. So it's like it doesn't make sense. You don't want to keep that going. It'd be like
Yeah.
the the weird adapters they were using for a while built in with the phones that allowed you to use the 3.5 millimeter headsets in the Lightning port. It's like that. It's like, we don't want to keep shipping this compatibility related item with our iPhones here. Here's Bluetooth headsets or direct to connecting Lightning cable. You know, like there's no more handy. Not what's the right word? There's no more jerry rigging it. Like this is what we're doing now. Move on.
Fair enough.
So
just a shame. I mean, and that wasn't the only iOS port too. They had if
was on there.
Yeah, if and two, but they just never translated them in English. Yeah. There was like an unofficial one for two, I think.
All Atlus would have had to do is somehow update it to 64-bit, and it would still be on iOS right now.
Which they were like not interested in doing.
Apple even handed out conversion tools. Like, hey, do you want to bring your app forward? Here's a conversion tool.
Wow.
And Atlus must have just been like, nope, not worth it. Can you imagine? Here's a conversion tool. Nah, fam, we're good.
We hate money. What's
Oh well. I mean, they still have it somewhere, I'm sure, on a database that they could still do this if they wanted to and bring it forward. But they're not going to.
No.
Yeah.
They won't.
So, let's see. Is there anything else? I guess Project RE Fantasy is ever coming.
That's crazy because they definitely mentioned that when.
Well, they keep teasing it.
Yeah, they teased it, but the last big mention was when Catherine Full Body was released. They were like, now that we're done with Catherine Full Body, we look forward to a statement about RE Project Fantasy, followed by, what is this, like almost 2 years now of radio silence?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Has SMT killed Project RE Fantasy?
That's the next video.
Yeah, do it, because the last statement was, the last statement about RE Project Fantasy was February 14th, so Valentine's Day 2019.
Dang, that's a long time.
Yeah, and they specifically say that they have big news regarding it, so
the big news is it's gone.
Yeah. Everyone hates it now, so
well, the thing about RE Fantasy is I was so interested in it is because they're the people that did Persona 5 and what are they gonna what's Persona 6 gonna be? Okay, now we get this RE Fantasy, but it gives you a fork where now you have this other thing being worked on at the same time that they're probably working on Persona 6 in the background.
Yeah.
It's like, where is this going? Where's this arc over here going? I don't know.
It's currently my biggest thing that I'm curious about for Atlus. More so than SMT5, more so than whatever Persona 6 might be. Just because it's a new IP. And when they did Catherine, I was pleasantly surprised with how great it was in every aspect. I've never had so much difficulty playing a game before.
Atlus should just go full tilt Marvel Cinematic Universe with all of the Persona 1 through 5 protagonists, except for 3 going after saving Persona 3's protagonist as the Persona 6 mainline game.
That would actually be the most fun fan service. I think they don't understand fan service. I feel like the way they do it is so bizarre. Hey, watch the TV sometimes and you might hear a reference to Persona 2. It's like,
or Atlus, or they have to have Atlus USA do their job for them.
Yeah.
Like Golden when they there's this one part where Chie mentions Kuzunoa, but in the original it's like some weird Japanese detective that nobody here would know about.
Yeah. It's like, come on, Atlus. All I want to see is just a random Persona 4 character reference Persona 1 and be like, man, that reminds me of Mark. He dances crazy. Don't you know? I would buy Persona 4 again just for them referencing SMT or Persona 1. Like, do that in Persona 6, guys. Reference every single Persona. I'll buy multiple copies.
Well, they totally screwed up in Persona 5 where they could have had some of the older characters be adults in Persona 5.
Yep.
Like, there's no reason.
No, but then they wouldn't be adults. They'd be shitty, rotten adults.
No. But I mean, you don't have to have them be the focal point. They could just be existing adults, like good adults in the modern world of Persona. And like for example, you have Rise references in what was it? It was in 5, right?
Yeah.
The subway,
you also had You also had Kitsuya reference in one of the TV shows.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Yep.
And then you have like that. You have Brown who goes down to be a reporter. Why doesn't he do some news report on the Phantom Thieves in Persona 5?
Or you could have had a mysterious donor that turns out to be. I always have a time remembering if it's the Japanese name or the Nate.
Nate.
Yeah, he could have been like a mysterious donor, right?
Yeah, that's true. Dang it, I can't remember his name. I almost want to. It's Nate Trinity is the English version.
Right.
Whatever.
Or you find, or maybe at the bottom of Mementos is something to do with a reference to Mary or Maki or whatever name you want to prefer. I don't know. They could easily just slip these things in there for the old school fans that have been there since the beginning, or people like me who went back and played all of them after the fact.
Like An is a fashion model. Why isn't Ulala a fashion designer?
Yeah. Or she could run into somebody from I don't know. No, Yukari never split that way. She stayed stuck with the hotel, or whatever that.
Yeah.
The inn. But people like that, like maybe they spend a week in Inaba like they did with the Gekukan High.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just so many options. They could just revisit these things. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We'll see.
That's just my gripe. Or like how you get the C's characters in Persona 4 Arena and then you don't see them at all in 5 really.
Just a lot of weird missed opportunities, and then when they do fan service like Persona Q and Q2, I'm just like, what? Like, this is not what I wanted, really.
But they did make the female protagonist canon.
That's true.
She just doesn't really exist in the actual timeline. Spoilers. Okay. I've really completely not rear-ended. That's the wrong word. Veered this into the wrong area, but that's fine. So I guess we're all on the kind of the same page. Remakes are cool, but we also want new games. Like RE Fantasy, we want, but we're okay if they do some remakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts, Nyarly?
Not really.
Any last thoughts, Spencer? Tokyo Mirage Sessions was great. Okay, got it, Spencer. Understood. Any last thoughts, Larrue?
Tokyo Mirage Sessions is great.
All right. Well, I just wanted to thank you guys for coming on this podcast with me. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. This is cool.
Glad to have Nyarly on as a repeat guest. I didn't completely veer him away last time. And Larrue, great to actually talk to you outside of you impersonating, a character on my starship and killing me.
This time I didn't kill you. Yeah.
No, not yet. I might have to make sure I lock all my doors tonight, though. No, stay out of the admin area.
Yep.
But seriously, thank you guys for coming on. It's been a lot of fun.
No problem.
Yep.
And so, as always, I'm Chris.
I'm Larrue.
I'm Nyarly.
I'm Spencer. And we will see you on the next CHRILLCAST. Bye, guys.